In 1900, Detroit covered 30 square miles and was home to just 300,000 people, with an economy based on manufacturing railroad cars, farming and timber industries. Thanks to the introduction of the mass assembly line, by the 1920s, Detroit was the world capital of automotive production and America's fourth largest city. 50 years on and things were very different. The major auto companies moved their factories out of the city to the suburbs, and the workers followed. Meanwhile, the city's racial tensions were exploding into some of the bloodiest race riots in American history. Today, more than 1 million taxpayers have moved out of Detroit, leaving behind 40 square miles of vacant land, nearly 40,000 abandoned houses, and a municipal government struggling to pay the bills. For many, Detroit is the epitome of urban blight, but businessman turned big thinker Gary Wozniak sees opportunity amid the ruin.
It's 104,000 square feet. It sits on 6 acres. It's been abandoned since 1986. And our goal is to turn it into a 5 million pound a year indoor tilapia farm.
He's project leader of Recovery Park, a $220 million urban farming project which he hopes will regenerate Detroit's ailing urban environment.
The auto industry has been very myopic in terms of how they built up the city. In 1900, 1910, 1920, they didn't care about environmental issues. By the time they realized that they were hurting the environment in the 60s and the 70s, they were already moving to other plants in the suburbs, and so their legacy remains in the city. Detroit used to have a very vibrant local food economy. Most of the shopping that you would do would be in a neighborhood grocery store, which was usually the front of somebody's house, or they lived above the store. Most of what you bought in that store was either made by the shop owners or somewhere in the neighborhood. As the auto industry developed in the 30s and the 40s and the 50s, and we started to regionalize and nationalize and globalize our food system, a lot of those jobs left the neighborhoods, and those people went to work for the auto industry. Our goal is to start rebuilding that local food system.
Phase 1 is converting this abandoned truck depot into a 1 million-gallon fish farm made up of 18 tanks, each holding 33,000 fish.
This room is perfect for what we want to do. It needs cleanup, but most of the stuff that we would normally take out of a building has already been mined by the urban miners. Our footprint for Recovery Park is just the other side of this building, and it's about 3 square miles, about 2,400 acres. We feel that if we can bring 5,000 jobs back into that neighborhood over a 10 or 12-year period of time, that the entire neighborhood will rebuild itself. If you come back here this time next year, you'll be able to, we'll do a tilapia fry out and back.